Hey everyone, I need to start things out with a quick note. Some of you may have noticed the disappearance of my Overlords episode 8 and 9 reviews, and the reason for that is because they have been struck down. I guess they didn't like me dissing episode 9's lack of maids. I'm currently working on resolving this issue, but sadly YouTube's strike system is heavily stacked against content creators like myself, so I can only pray that this issue will be resolved soon. For the time being, I have slightly changed the formatting of these videos in hopes that it'll solve the issue. I hope that you'll continue to enjoy the content because I refuse to let this stop me. But with that out of the way, let's get into the review. Hello everyone, this is the Professor Z, and I am back yet again with yet another Made in Abyss Season 2 episode review. And today's episode, well, you know what? Let me paint you a picture. You walk into a dark shed, and it's fine at first, but then you get hit in the face by a rake. That is Season 1. You then venture back into the shed, hoping that there was only the one rake, and you proceed to get hit in the face by several rakes. This is the Made in Abyss movie. Finally, you think you've taken care of all the rakes and head back in. You leave the shed with severe brain damage. This is the best way I can express the absolute brutality of this series, and episode 8 cranks it up to 10. So you know what? Let's dive right in and start tanking rakes until we can't think straight, with Made in Abyss Season 2 Episode 8, titled The Form the Wish Takes. So instead of starting off where we left off, we start with Reg exiting the village in pursuit of Faputa. Oh, there she is. Well, that was easy. But this is no coincidence, as Faputa had come to the village expecting Reg to seek her out. After Reg explains Nanachi's situation, Faputa agrees to help as long as Reg fulfills his promise. Unfortunately, Reg, like many other things, does not remember this promise, and asks Faputa to tell him it one more time. Though Wazukian had said a piece of Faputa would work for this instance, Reg intended to seek out Faputa in hopes that she may know another way to free Nanachi. But Faputa is completely down with this whole self-sacrifice thing and proceeds to tear her own arm off. This facial expression, followed by this one, pretty much sums up this entire turn of events. Props to the sound design team and whatever they had to tear apart to provide the audio for this scene, because it is horrifying. It really shows the resolve Faputa has for the eradication of the village. We then move back in time as Bailiff is having a mental breakdown as he realizes what was in the contents of that soup. Wazukian doesn't seem worried though, as his companion is slowly going insane. In fact, he's on the way to go to the cause as we speak. Wazukian and Vueko then go to see Irumyuui, or what's left of her, as Wazukian explains how Irumyuui and her children have only grown since Vueko became ill. So, anyone else not want to keep going? One rake is enough, right? What was that? I'm morally obligated to. Damn it. Well, here's Irumyuui. It seems that her bodily deformations have progressed so far that she's lost her ability to speak. Despite this, she still cares for the children she births. That, however, doesn't stop Wazukian from separating them. What does he do with these children, though? Well, that fresh meat sure looks like it would go well in a soup. It seems that fresh creature meat acts as a remedy for the pseudo water, so Wazukian has been continuously killing the creatures in order to cure the members of the Suicide Corps. After that messed up experience, Vueko goes back to apologize to Irumyuui for doing nothing to stop the theft of her children and for prioritizing the people who gave her a home over her. Pulling out a knife, Vueko plans on bringing an end to this adventure. However, Irumyuui then brings Vueko in for a hug, draining what resolve she had. Time passes and Vueko has been left with a fate worse than death, which she also forces Bailiff to endure as well. Over time, a religion surrounding Irumyuui begins to form as an excuse for what they're forced to do. Irumyuui, helpless to stop them, has grown to the point that she's broken through the roof of her living arrangement. On one of these days, Vueko notices something within Irumyuui, a second cradle of desires. After Vueko fell ill, so did Irumyuui, since her dream was in some way tied to Vueko. In hopes of fixing the situation, Wazukian had the interference units find another cradle for Irumyuui to use. Quite understandably, Vueko isn't thrilled about this when Irumyuui begins to move. It seems like Wazukian has been waiting for this as he gathers the remnants of their group to follow Irumyuui. Unfortunately, following Irumyuui has exposed the group to the creatures of the abyss, and poor Ila gets pulled upwards and mutilated by the curse. Wazukian tells everyone to stay close to Irumyuui while Bailiff continues to beg for death. Oh, silly Bailiff, Wazukian has decided that you're not allowed to have that right now. Irumyuui then comes to a stop at a location closer to the Abyss's center, where she'll get lots of light. She then sheds the pink skin and sprouts tendrils and begins grabbing the surrounding creatures for her to consume. And with that, Bailiff has finally snapped. Despite the hardships Bailiff has endured throughout his life, nothing is as bad as the guilt he feels for what he has done to Irumyuui. So Bailiff offers himself up to her, and in response, Irumyuui splits open, leaving an opening that would become the entrance to the village. Upon entering, Bailiff is assaulted by the balancing, and is quite brutally transformed into a Narahede. Despite what they just witnessed, everyone seems pretty okay with it. Everyone except Vueko. And as everyone offers themselves up to their queen, Vueko stands off to the side. She doesn't believe that this is what Irumyuui wanted, and instead was corrupted by the second egg. Unable to take any more, Vueko moves to end her life, with Wazukian warning her that if she dies, then Irumyui's wish will no longer be fulfilled. However, Vueko has already realized this and understands that without her, Irumyuui will meet her end, along with Wazukian's prophecy. As Vueko falls, Wazukian has other plans as he catches her, revealing that he had also used a cradle on himself. We then cut to some time later where we find Vueko chained in a familiar location, within Irumyui's head. Wazukian, having changed into a Narahede himself, has chained up Vueko in order to assure his own wish stays intact. It seems to me that when Wazukian used his own egg, it some way distorted Irumyui's, and thus both of their wishes became a tangled mess. Wazukian then starts talking about how he felt homesick when he first saw Vueko's compass, a yearning for something that once was, but will never exist again. This is a feeling that the Abyss will continue to invoke in others for a long time to come. Vueko is then left with Irumyui's children, and over time she would learn to read the signals that Irumyuui gives off, seeing all of those who had been consumed by the village. Despite having lost her intellect, Irumyuui continues to use the egg in order to fulfill her wish. After consuming everyone and feeding off the energy of the Abyss, Irumyuui was able to give birth to her final child, Faputa. Faputa, having inherited all of the pent-up anger her mother felt, proceeds to dismantle the observation bots. Though, to be fair, it wasn't really their fault. The residents of the village look on with tears in their eyes as they witness this creature from the village which they could never have. Vueko is the only one wishing for Faputa to be able to live the life her mother couldn't. Vueko, now trapped within the village, takes care of Irumyui's children until she would be saved by Riko many years later. We now return to the village where Vueko explains that since all 3 eggs had been used for Faputa's creation, that the village continues to exist due to the value that continues to flow into it. Riko then asks what Faputa plans to do. The answer is the complete destruction of the village and to free her mother's soul. However, since she can't pass through the membrane of the village, Faputa has been unsuccessful in this endeavor so far. While Faputa may be Irumyui's child, they are not the same person, and thus Vueko would have no sway over Faputa's actions. And all Vueko really wants now is to never let go of her memories of Irumyuui. With that, we've reached the end of this episode. And boy, what an episode it was. There were a lot of hard-hitting moments in this episode, which really shows off the strengths of Made in Abyss's story. Of course, there's also beautiful animation and sound design that elevates it to new heights. Though we had to tank a lot of rakes to get here, I think the trauma is worth it. Well, I think that's enough for now. Let me know what you all thought of this episode down below, and make sure you like the video and subscribe for more going forward. As always though, this has been the Professor Z, and I will see you all next time.